Have you ever looked around your life and felt like everything was moving faster than your ability to manage it? You wake up tired, even after sleeping. Your schedule is scattered. Your mind is crowded. Your goals are blurry. Tasks are unfinished. Bills keep speaking. Pressure keeps rising. Family needs something from you. Work needs something from you. Ministry needs something from you. And somewhere deep inside, your spirit feels weary because you know you were created for more, but your life does not seem prepared for more. I want you to hear me clearly. Some of what you are calling attack may be an area where God is exposing the absence of order. Have you ever prayed for increase while your life had no structure to receive it? Have you ever asked God for more money, more influence, more opportunity, more responsibility, but you could not find the documents you already had, manage the time you already possessed, or complete the assignments already in your hand? Have you ever called it warfare when, if you were honest, it was really mismanagement? Now, I am not saying there is no warfare. I am not saying the enemy does not resist purpose. But you must be mature enough to discern the difference between spiritual resistance and personal disorder. Because if you blame the devil for everything you refuse to organize, you will never take authority over your own habits. You will keep praying for deliverance from problems that discipline was designed to solve. Your life may not be cursed. Your life may not be rejected. Your life may not be abandoned by God. It may simply be unorganized. That is not condemnation. That is revelation. Because if the issue is not that God has left you, then hope is still present. If the issue is not that your destiny has expired, then you can still recover. If the issue is disorder, then order can be restored. You see, increase cannot live in confusion for long. Blessing requires a place to land. It requires a system to flow through. It requires stewardship to multiply. God can send opportunity, but if your life has no capacity, that opportunity will become pressure. God can release provision, but if there is no discipline, provision will leak through unmanaged places. God can open a door, but if your schedule, your priorities, your emotions, and your environment are in chaos, the very door you prayed for can overwhelm you. This is why many people are not waiting on God as much as they think. God is waiting on order. He is waiting on capacity. He is waiting on a life that can carry what it keeps asking for. Because God does not bring peace by blessing confusion. He brings peace by calling creation into order. Before there was fruitfulness, there was separation. Light from darkness, waters from waters, seasons, boundaries, times, and purposes. God's first movement in creation was not increase. It was order. So if you sense that God is dealing with your habits, stay with this word. If you feel Him touching your space, your schedule, your finances, your priorities, your patterns, receive it soberly. Do not run from correction when correction is the doorway to capacity. Share this with someone who is trying to build a life worthy of their assignment. Because this is not just about being neat. This is about becoming ready. Your life may not be falling apart. It may be revealing the places where order must come before increase. Now, let's go deeper. Because this is not merely about having a cleaner room or a neater desk. This is spiritual law. The scripture says in 1 Corinthians 14:33, "For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace." I want you to hear that clearly. God is not the author of confusion. That means when confusion becomes the atmosphere of your home, your finances, your work, your ministry, your thoughts, or your habits, something in that area is operating outside the nature of God. Confusion is not just an inconvenience. Confusion is evidence. It is evidence that order has been violated. It is evidence that priorities have become mixed. It is evidence that boundaries have been ignored. It is evidence that something has been allowed to function without divine structure. And wherever confusion rules, peace cannot govern. You cannot have peace ruling in the same place where confusion has been given authority. Look at God from the beginning. Before God filled the earth, He organized it. Before He blessed it, He structured it. Before He commanded fruitfulness, He established boundaries. He separated light from darkness. He separated the waters from the waters. He separated the dry land from the seas. He separated day from night. He separated seasons from seasons. Then, after he brought things into proper arrangement, he called it good. That means good was connected to order. Fruitfulness was connected to order. Multiplication was connected to order. God did not look at chaos and call it good. He brought chaos under divine management, and then he called it good. So if you want your life to become fruitful, do not just ask God to bless it, ask Him to order it. Ask Him to show you where things are out of place. Ask Him to expose what has no boundary, what has no schedule, what has no system, what has no discipline, and what has been taking authority it was never supposed to have. Because God creates by order, He sustains by law, He governs by principles, He increases what is properly managed. The sun does not rise when it feels inspired. The seasons do not change because they are motivated. The oceans do not stay within their boundaries by accident. Creation obeys divine order. And if creation must obey order to function, why do we think our lives can violate order and still produce destiny? Some of you are asking God for peace, but your habits are producing confusion. You are asking God for clarity, but your schedule is full of disorder. You are asking God for financial increase, but your money has no assignment. You are asking God to heal your family, but your home has no rhythm, no communication, no boundaries, no intentionality. You are asking God to bless your ministry, but you have no structure for the people, no system for the work, no discipline for the calling. And then you wonder why you feel overwhelmed. Let me say it strong. Stop spiritualizing disorder. Some people rebuke what they need to organize. They fast about what they need to file. They pray over what they need to schedule. They call it demonic pressure when it is really neglected responsibility. They lay hands on confusion that came from poor planning. They ask God to remove stress while they keep living without structure. But God will not bless irresponsibility and call it faith. Faith does not cancel order. Faith requires order. Noah had faith, but he still had to build the ark according to instruction. Moses had faith, but he still had to organize the people. Joseph had faith, but he still had to manage grain, seasons, storage, and distribution. Jesus had power, but even when he fed the multitude, he told them to sit down in groups. Why? Because divine provision flows better through divine order. When order is restored, something begins to change in the atmosphere of your life. Peace replaces panic. Focus replaces frustration. Clarity replaces confusion. Confidence replaces anxiety. Progress begins where order is restored. You stop reacting to everything and begin governing what God has placed in your hands. You stop being driven by emergencies and start being directed by purpose. This is why order is not a personality preference. Some people say, well, I'm just not an organized person. No, that may be your habit, but it is not your identity. If you are made in the image of God, then order belongs in your life because order is in His nature. You were not created to be ruled by confusion. You were not created to live scattered, late, overwhelmed, and constantly behind. You were created to reflect the character of the One who brings form to emptiness, light to darkness, boundaries to chaos, and purpose to time. So the question is not whether you like organization. The question is whether you are willing to surrender your life to divine order. Because order is the nature of God operating through a surrendered life. When God governs your life, He does not only touch your spirit. He touches your calendar. He touches your spending. He touches your conversations. He touches your work ethic. He touches your home. He touches your habits. He touches what you tolerate and what you refuse to confront. And this is where responsibility begins. If God is not the author of confusion, then you must stop giving confusion permission to write the story of your life. You must take back the pen. You must bring your life under the government of God's order. Because kingdom identity is not just what you declare on Sunday. It is what your life demonstrates on Monday. Now, this brings us to a hard truth. You cannot pray your way into what you refuse to structure. Prayer is powerful. Prayer is necessary. Prayer is your communion with God. Prayer opens your heart, aligns your spirit, and invites heaven into your affairs. But prayer was never designed to replace obedience. Prayer was never designed to excuse disorder. Prayer was never designed to cover habits that you refuse to discipline. Some of you are waiting for a feeling before you move. You're waiting to feel motivated. You're waiting to feel ready. You're waiting for life to slow down. You are waiting for the right season, the right mood, the right energy, the right inspiration. But I want you to hear me clearly. If you wait for your emotions to agree with your assignment, you may never begin. Emotions are not designed to govern destiny. Feelings are not qualified to lead purpose. Comfort cannot be the foundation of calling. You have to force yourself into organization. Not because it is easy. Not because it is always pleasant. Not because your flesh enjoys it. You do it because your future requires it. You do it because your peace requires it. You do it because your assignment requires it. Discipline is the ability to do what must be done when your emotions are not cooperating, when convenience is absent, when comfort is complaining, and when nobody is clapping for you. That is discipline. It is not excitement. It is not a burst of inspiration. It is not a temporary emotional high after hearing a message. Discipline is doing the necessary thing after the feeling has left. It is paying the bill on time. It is writing the plan. It is cleaning the space. It is answering the email. It is setting the boundary. It is going to bed when your body wants distraction. It is waking up when your purpose demands preparation. It is choosing structure when your flesh wants excuses. Many people love inspiration because inspiration makes them feel successful without requiring them to become responsible. They hear a word, they get excited, they shout, they declare, they imagine the future, but when they go home, nothing changes. The same papers are still scattered. The same calendar is still unmanaged. The same money is still unassigned. The same habits are still ruling. The same distractions are still stealing time. The same disorder is still sitting in authority. And then they wonder why the prophecy has not become a pattern. Listen, a promise from God does not cancel your need for preparation. God can speak a word over your life in a moment, but you may have to build a structure for that word over time. Joseph had a dream in one night, but he developed stewardship through years of discipline. David was anointed as king, but he still had to learn faithfulness in the field. The anointing did not excuse the process. The promise did not remove responsibility. Prayer invites God into your life, but structure prepares your life to receive what God releases. You can pray for clients, but do you have systems to serve them? You can pray for more income, but do you have a budget to manage it? You can pray for influence, but do you have character to sustain it? You can pray for ministry growth, but do you have order to care for people? You can pray for open doors, but do you have the discipline to walk through them without collapsing? God multiplies what is managed, not what is neglected. This is stewardship. When Jesus fed the multitude, the little boy's lunch was placed in his hands, but even then there was order. The people were seated. The provision was distributed. The fragments were gathered. Nothing was wasted. That tells me kingdom increase does not give permission to be careless. Even abundance must be managed. How can you ask God for more when you are losing track of what you already have? Where do you keep losing time? Where do you keep losing money? Where do you keep losing peace? Where do you keep losing focus? Where do you keep starting strong and finishing weak? Where do you keep making declarations with your mouth while your schedule denies them? Where do you keep blaming pressure when the real issue is the absence of structure? Do not answer quickly. Let the question examine you. Because many people are gifted, but their gift is leaking through disorganized habits. They are anointed, but inconsistent. Intelligent, but scattered. Full of vision, but undisciplined. They can see the future, but they cannot manage the morning. They can describe destiny, but they cannot keep an appointment. They can speak with power, but they cannot steward private decisions. And private disorder eventually becomes public limitation. This is why discipline is the bridge between what God promised and what your life is prepared to carry. The promise may be real, but your capacity may be undeveloped. The calling may be genuine, but your habits may be contradicting it. The vision may be from God, but your structure may be too weak to sustain the weight of it. And God loves you too much to give you increase that your disorder would destroy. So stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for your mood to change. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop saying, one day I'll get it together. That day must become today. Set the schedule. Create the list. Assign the money. Clean the space. Finish the task. Build the rhythm. Discipline your appetite. Discipline your attention. Discipline your emotions. Discipline your environment. The issue is not whether God can bless you. God has no shortage. Heaven is not bankrupt. The issue is whether your present structure can sustain the blessing. Because increase without discipline becomes pressure. Opportunity without order becomes chaos. Promotion without preparation becomes pain. God is not withholding because He is cruel. He is preparing because He is wise. And if you want your life to carry more, you must stop treating structure like an option. Structure is the womb of increase. Discipline is the evidence that you are becoming responsible for what you ask God to release. Every blessing carries weight. I want you to understand this. A blessing is not just something you enjoy. A blessing is something you must carry. A better job carries a heavier demand on your time. More money carries a heavier demand on your discipline. Greater influence carries a heavier demand on your character. A larger assignment carries a heavier demand on your private life. So before God increases the opportunity, He must increase the capacity. This is where many people misunderstand God. They think delay means denial. They think waiting means rejection. They think because the door has not opened yet, heaven has forgotten them. But sometimes God is not withholding increase to punish you. He is preserving you until your systems can sustain what your prayers are requesting. Because God knows what you do not always admit. He knows that if He gives you more while you are still unmanaged, the more may not bless you. It may break you. A promotion without time discipline becomes stress. You prayed for the position, but now you are late, overwhelmed, disorganized, and angry because the position revealed the absence of order. A relationship without emotional order becomes conflict. You prayed for love, but you never disciplined your temper, your insecurity, your communication, your expectations, and now the blessing feels like a battle. A business idea without records becomes confusion. You prayed for customers, but you have no books, no process, no schedule, no system for delivery, and now opportunity is exposing disorder. A ministry without structure becomes burnout. You prayed for people to come, but you have no team, no accountability, no administration, no rhythm of rest, and now the very souls you wanted to serve are draining you because you did not build capacity. So let me ask you plainly, how can God trust you with more when what is already in your hands is constantly misplaced, delayed, ignored, or wasted? How can He trust you with more money when the money you have now has no assignment? How can He trust you with more influence when your private character is still uncontrolled? How can He trust you with more responsibility when your present responsibilities are neglected? How can He trust you with a larger platform when you cannot manage the hidden place? Do not answer with emotion. Answer with evidence. Look at your calendar. Look at your bank account. Look at your room. Look at your desk. Look at your unfinished commitments. Look at the promises you made and never fulfilled. Look at the opportunities you lost because you were not prepared when they arrived. Evidence does not lie. Your life is always preaching what you truly believe about stewardship. Jesus said, "He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much." That means your next level is connected to your present faithfulness. Not your present desire. Not your present excitement. Not your present confession only. Your present faithfulness. The little thing is not little when God is using it to measure your maturity. The small assignment is not small when it is training your hands for greater responsibility. The current season is not wasted when it is developing the structure your future will require. Some people want God to trust them with nations, but they are careless with a notebook. They want God to trust them with wealth, but they ignore receipts. They want God to trust them with leadership, but they avoid correction. They want God to trust them with a family, but they refuse emotional discipline. They want God to trust them with vision, but they will not write anything down. They want God to trust them with destiny, but they keep wasting mornings. No. Capacity comes before increase. Stewardship comes before multiplication. Order comes before expansion. God will often require you to organize what you already have before He releases what you keep asking for. Because if you cannot manage the seed, you cannot steward the harvest. If you cannot manage the room, you cannot manage the house. If you cannot manage the day, you cannot manage the decade. Organization tells heaven something. It says, I am not just asking for more. I am preparing for more. It says, I can be trusted with what is next because I am becoming faithful with what is now. It says, I will not waste what God releases. It says, I am mature enough to give every blessing an assignment, every resource a place, every responsibility a system, and every opportunity a structure. This is why order is an act of faith. When you organize your life, you are making room for obedience. You are creating channels through which provision can flow. You are building containers that increase can enter without destroying your peace. You are telling your future, I am not waiting for life to become easy. I am becoming disciplined enough to carry what God has assigned. But here is the next place we must confront. Many people have no capacity because they are already full. Full of clutter, full of old emotions, full of unfinished things, full of distractions, full of noise, full of memories God told them to release, full of relationships that drain them, full of habits that occupy space but produce no fruit. And God cannot fill what is already crowded with what He told you to remove. So before we talk about more, we must talk about space. Before we talk about increase, we must talk about release. Because clutter is not just a mess you can see. Clutter is anything occupying territory that purpose needs. That means you must stop limiting clutter to what is lying on the floor. Clutter is not only clothes on a chair, papers on a desk, dishes in a sink, or boxes in a room. Clutter is anything that keeps your life crowded, confused, and unable to respond quickly to God. It can be physical, it can be emotional, it can be mental, it can be spiritual. You can have a clean house and still have a cluttered soul. You can have an organized desk and still have resentment stacked in your heart. You can have folders, labels, and calendars, but your mind is crowded with unfinished decisions, unspoken conversations, delayed obedience, and anxiety about things God never told you to carry. Clutter speaks silently. It tells your mind there is too much unresolved. It tells your spirit there is too much unassigned. It tells your emotions there is too much unprocessed. It tells your body there is too much neglected. That is why clutter drains you even when you are sitting still. You walk into a room and feel tired because the room is preaching disorder. You open your phone and feel scattered because your attention is being pulled in 10 directions. You remember conversation and lose peace because forgiveness has not happened yet. This is why 1 Peter 5-7 says, casting all your care upon Him, for He careth for you. Notice the word casting. It means release it, throw it, transfer it. Stop storing what God told you to surrender. Some things were meant to be cast, not carried. Some burdens were meant to be prayed through, not lived under. Some anxieties were meant to be handed to God, not organized into your personality. But many people have become loyal to what is killing their capacity. They are loyal to old wounds, loyal to old identities, loyal to old habits, loyal to old relationships, loyal to old papers, old plans, old disappointments, old conversations, old versions of themselves. They keep documents from a season God already closed. They keep habits from a level God already delivered them from. They keep relationships that drain their obedience. They keep wounds because the pain has become familiar. They keep an identity built around survival when God is calling them into stewardship. Hear me clearly. You cannot receive new instruction while you are still crowded with an old season. God may be speaking, but there is no room for the word to land. God may be leading, but your life is too congested to move. God may be giving direction, but your heart is full of offense. Your schedule is full of distraction. Your mind is full of noise. And your space is full of evidence that yesterday still has authority. Decluttering is deliverance with discipline. It is not just throwing things away. It is deciding what no longer has permission to occupy your life. Clear one space. Close one unfinished loop. Forgive one person. Cancel one distraction. Remove one unnecessary obligation. Delete what keeps pulling your attention away from purpose. Put things where they belong. Release what no longer belongs. Make room for peace. And do not make this mysterious. Start somewhere practical. Open the drawer. Clear the desk. Answer the message. Pay the bill. Return the item. Finish the task. Have the conversation. Cancel the subscription. End the agreement that keeps stealing strength from your assignment. Stop saying, I'll deal with it later, because later has become the graveyard of your discipline. But understand this, we do not declutter because emptiness is the goal. Empty space without purpose will soon become crowded again. We declutter to create sacred space, space for focus, space for clarity, space for instruction, space for growth, space for God to speak without competing with the noise you refuse to remove. God cannot fill what is already crowded with what He told you to release. So release it. Not because it never mattered, but because it no longer serves the assignment. Not because the season was worthless, but because the season is over. Not because you are rejecting your past, but because you are refusing to let your past manage your future. When clutter leaves, clarity can enter. When resentment leaves, peace can enter. When distraction leaves, focus can enter. When unnecessary obligation leaves, strength can return. When old identity leaves, purpose can speak again. But after space is cleared, direction must be defined. Order without vision becomes frustration. You can clean the room, organize the calendar, clear the desk, and still drift if you do not know what your life is supposed to serve. So the next question is not only what must I remove, the next question is what am I making room for? Because once the clutter is removed, vision must become plain. Otherwise, order has no destination. That is why the prophet Habakkuk was told, write the vision and make it plain. Notice, God did not say, think the vision. He did not say, feel the vision. He did not say, admire the vision. He said, write it, make it plain. Why? Because clarity precedes movement. What you cannot define, you cannot discipline. What you cannot write, you cannot properly organize. What remains vague will keep producing scattered energy. Many people say they want their life in order, but they have never answered the question, order for what? You can arrange everything and still be wondering. You can clean your house, fix your desk, color code your calendar, and still have no direction. That is neat frustration. Everything is placed, but nothing is aimed. Everything looks better, but nothing is moving toward purpose. You cannot organize your life properly until you know the purpose your life is supposed to serve. Organization is not the goal. Organization is the servant of vision. Order is powerful only when it is connected to assignment. A well-managed life with no vision becomes efficient emptiness. You are busy but not building. You are structured but not surrendered. You are productive but not purposeful. So I want to ask you plainly, what are you organizing for? Are you organizing for your family? Are you organizing for a business? Are you organizing for ministry? Are you organizing for healing? Are you organizing for leadership? Are you organizing for generational change? Are you organizing because God has placed an assignment in your spirit that requires a different level of discipline? Stop saying, I just need to get my life together. If you have not defined what together means, together for what? For whom? Toward what end? A life without vision will keep borrowing priorities from everybody else. Your phone will tell you what matters. Other people's emergencies will tell you what matters. Your emotions will tell you what matters. Your past will tell you what matters. But when vision is written, it becomes a judge. It judges your decisions. It judges your relationships. It judges your spending. It judges your time. It judges what deserves access to your strength. This is why vague desire is dangerous. Vague desire says, I want to do better. Written vision says, this is what obedience looks like this season. Vague desire says, I want to grow. Written vision says, these are the habits I must practice weekly. Vague desire says, I want more. Written vision says, this is what I must steward now so I can carry what comes next. A dream inspires you, but vision gives you instructions. A dream can make you emotional, but vision makes you responsible. A dream can wake you up, but vision tells you where to walk. Do not confuse excitement with direction. Many people are inspired, but they are not instructed. They have passion, but no priorities. They have ideas, but no order. They have ambition, but no measurable obedience. Write the vision. Make it plain. Plain means clear enough to govern your choices. Clear enough to say yes. Clear enough to say no. Clear enough to know what must be protected, what must be removed, what must be scheduled, and what must be refused. If your vision cannot correct your calendar, it is still too vague. If your vision cannot discipline your spending, it is still too vague. If your vision cannot challenge your relationships, it is still too vague. So take practical action. Write the top 3 priorities for this season. Not 20. Not everything you might do one day. 3. What does God require of you now? What must be built now? What must be healed now? What must be learned now? What must be strengthened now? Then define what must be done every week to serve those priorities. If family is the assignment, where is the weekly investment? If business is the assignment, where is the weekly structure? If ministry is the assignment, where is the weekly preparation? If healing is the assignment, where is the weekly obedience? Then remove what does not serve the assignment. Some activities are not sinful, but they are stealing. Some relationships are not evil, but they are draining. Some opportunities are not wrong, but they are distracting. You do not have enough life to give equal attention to everything that asks for it. Purpose requires selection. Vision requires separation. Destiny requires the courage to disappoint distractions. Do not ask God for clarity and then keep living by impulse. Do not ask God for direction and then keep obeying every invitation. Do not ask God to bless your future while your present has no written priority. Write it. Read it. Pray over it. Build around it. Let it confront you. Let it correct you. Let it call you back when your emotions wander. Because once the vision becomes plain, your life must begin to obey it. Your space must obey it. Your habits must obey it. Your conversations must obey it. And especially your time must obey it. The next act of stewardship is not merely to know your purpose, but to make your calendar bow to it. Your schedule must stop serving pressure and start serving assignment. Because time is the place where purpose becomes visible. You can say you have vision, but your calendar will testify. You can say family matters, but where is the time? You can say prayer matters, but where is the time? You can say preparation matters, but where is the time? Your mouth can declare purpose, but your schedule reveals priority. Time management is not merely productivity, it is worship. Why? Because time is the platform through which purpose is fulfilled. You do not obey God in imagination. You obey Him in time. You do not build destiny in theory. You build it in hours, days, weeks, months, and seasons. Every assignment God gives you must enter time before it can become fruit. Ecclesiastes says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. That means everything does not belong everywhere. Everything does not belong in every season. Disorder often comes from doing the right thing at the wrong time or giving permanent energy to temporary demands. Some things are good, but they are not for now. Some invitations are honorable, but they are not your assignment. Some needs are real, but they are not yours to carry. You must learn the discipline of season. There is a time to build and a time to rest. A time to speak and a time to be silent. A time to gather and a time to release. If you do not understand seasons, you will exhaust yourself trying to make every demand permanent. You will give lifetime strength to temporary pressure. You will keep watering what God told you to prune. Now listen carefully. Urgent things scream for your attention, but important things build your destiny quietly and consistently. Urgent things knock loudly. Important things wait faithfully. Your phone screams. Your future whispers. Crisis screams. Preparation whispers. Distraction screams. Wisdom whispers. And if you do not discipline your time, the loudest thing in your life will always defeat the most important thing in your life. This is why many people are busy but not fruitful. They are moving but not advancing. They are tired but not transformed. They have full calendars and empty results. They spend the day responding, reacting, rescuing, scrolling, delaying, and then at night they say, I do not know where the time went. No, the time went where you allowed it to go. Time does not disappear. Time is assigned or time is stolen. Where is your time leaking? Is it leaking through scrolling? Is it leaking through procrastination? Is it leaking through overcommitting? Is it leaking because you keep rescuing people God did not assign you to rescue? Is it leaking because you refuse to plan? Is it leaking because you start too many things and finish nothing that matters? Is it leaking because you call distraction rest and you call avoidance peace? Do not lie to yourself. Some of your stress is not warfare, it is poor stewardship. Some of your exhaustion is not because the assignment is too heavy. It is because your time has no order. Unmanaged time always produces unnecessary stress. When prayer has no place, you become spiritually dry. When family has no place, relationships weaken. When work has no structure, pressure multiplies. When rest has no protection, your body begins to protest. When preparation has no appointment, your future remains delayed. So what must you do? Plan the week before the week begins. Do not wait until pressure is standing over you. Sit down before the week starts and ask, what has God assigned to this season? What must be done this week? What must be protected? What must be refused? Assign priorities to days. Put the important things somewhere real. Not in your head. Not in your feelings. Not in some day. Put them in time. Protect focus blocks. There are things you cannot build in fragments. You need time where the phone is not governing you. People are not constantly accessing you. And your mind is not jumping from one unfinished thing to another. Create margin. Stop scheduling your life so tightly that one interruption destroys your peace. Margin is not laziness. Margin is wisdom. It gives your life room to breathe, adjust, recover, and hear God. Then review what did not get done without lying to yourself. Do not just say, I was busy. Busy with what? Did the urgent steal the important? Did fear delay obedience? Did comfort postpone preparation? Did you overestimate your capacity? Did you say yes when wisdom told you to say no? Review is not condemnation. Review is correction. A disciplined person can look at evidence and adjust. Your calendar must become a place of truth. If you say purpose matters, schedule preparation. If you say health matters, schedule rest and discipline. If you say family matters, schedule presence. If you say God matters, schedule prayer and guard it. Stop giving God the leftovers of your attention and asking Him to bless the center of your life. Put first things first. Order time creates room. Room for prayer, room for family, room for work, room for rest, room for preparation, room for thinking, room for healing, room for the next instruction. When time is ordered, peace begins to return. Focus replaces frustration. Progress replaces panic. Confidence replaces confusion. But a schedule is only the beginning. A calendar can tell you what should happen, but systems help it happen again and again. Because your emotions will fluctuate. Your energy will fluctuate. Your circumstances will shift. Motivation will rise and fall. So if increase is going to remain, you need more than a planned week. You need repeatable structures that keep your life in order when your feelings are not cooperating. Motivation can start a thing, but it cannot sustain a thing. Motivation is temporary energy. It rises, it falls, it comes, it goes. Some mornings you feel strong, some mornings you feel empty. Some days you wake up ready to conquer the world. Some days you wake up and the world feels like it's sitting on your chest. If your life depends only on how you feel, your life will always be unstable. That is why you need systems. A system is a repeated decision. It is a structure you create before pressure arrives. It is a container that keeps purpose in place when emotion changes. Systems are the containers that allow increase to remain, grow, and serve its purpose. Without systems, blessings leak. Without systems, progress disappears. Without systems, you start again and again, but you do not build anything that can last. An organized person does not trust memory for everything. No, they create places, they create processes, they create lists, they create rhythms, they create reminders, they create budgets, they create boundaries. They understand that what has no place will become misplaced. What has no process will become delayed. What has no rhythm will become neglected. What has no boundary will be invaded. Put things where they belong. Decide when work begins. Decide when rest begins. Track what God has placed in your hands. Stop calling chaos normal. Stop saying that is just how I am, when what you really mean is I have not built a system yet. You were not created to live by crisis. You were not created to spend your days searching for what you should have stored, reacting to what you should have planned, and apologizing for what you should have managed. You need a morning system for spiritual focus, not just, I will pray when I feel led. No, set the place, set the time, put the Bible where you can reach it, prepare the night before. Give God the first portion of your attention before the world begins making withdrawals. You need a financial system for stewardship. Know what comes in, know what goes out. Give every dollar an assignment. Track spending. Pay what must be paid. Save with intention. Give with obedience. Do not ask God for more while refusing to count what He has already trusted you with. You need a work system for execution. Decide what matters before the day begins. List the tasks. Prioritize the important. Finish what you start. Create a process for follow-up, communication, files, deadlines, and decisions. Talent without execution becomes frustration. You need a home system for peace. Laundry has a rhythm. Meals have a rhythm. Cleaning has a rhythm. Rest has a rhythm. Your house should not always be recovering from neglect. It should serve peace, restoration, family, and purpose. You need a relationship system for presence. Do not tell people they matter and give them only the exhausted leftovers of your attention. Schedule the call. Protect the meal. Listen without the phone in your hand. Apologize quickly. Check on people intentionally. Love must have expression, and expression must have time. Even relationships need structure, because what is valuable must be protected. Hear me clearly. Gifts without systems become inconsistent. Anointing without administration becomes exhausting. You can be called and chaotic. You can be gifted and unreliable. You can be powerful in public and undisciplined in private. And sooner or later, the lack of structure will begin to drain the very gift God gave you to serve others. This is why many people burn out. They blame the assignment. But the assignment is not always the problem. Sometimes the problem is that there is no system to carry it. Even Jesus organized what He multiplied. When He fed the multitudes, He did not just release bread into confusion. He told them to sit down in groups. Order preceded distribution. Structure preceded increase. That means heaven does not fear administration. Heaven uses administration. God can bless order because order creates channels for blessing to move without waste. And leadership requires this. People cannot follow a person whose life is always reacting. Leadership requires predictability. Leadership requires clarity. Leadership requires trust. If people never know where you stand, what you expect, when you will respond, how you make decisions, or whether you will keep your word, they may admire your gift, but they will struggle to trust your leadership. A leader's life must carry a certain order, because confusion in the leader becomes confusion in the people. So build the system, write the checklist, set the reminder, create the budget, arrange the room, block the time, establish the boundary, repeat the rhythm until it becomes part of your character. Do not wait until you feel inspired. Discipline does not ask your feelings for permission. Discipline gives your feelings an assignment. But now listen, external systems will expose something deeper. Because you can build calendars, budgets, checklists, and routines, but if your inner life is ruled by fear, impulse, pride, and distraction, the system will eventually collapse. Outer order must be supported by inner alignment. The first territory of kingdom order is not your desk, your closet, your phone, or your schedule. The first territory is your soul. Because what is around you often announces what is within you. Your room may be talking about your thoughts. Your schedule may be talking about your values. Your finances may be talking about your appetites. Your relationships may be talking about your beliefs. The disorder you keep stepping over on the outside may be pointing to something God wants to govern on the inside. Now, hear me clearly. This is not condemnation. This is diagnosis. God does not reveal disorder to shame you. He reveals disorder to heal you. He lets you see what is scattered so it can be gathered. He lets you feel what is out of control so it can come back under authority. He lets the evidence rise to the surface because hidden disorder cannot be corrected until it is exposed. Some people keep rebuking the condition of their lives, but they never examine the condition of their hearts. They say, my schedule is out of control, but the real issue is people-pleasing. They say, my finances are out of control, but the real issue is appetite. They say, my house is out of control, but the real issue is avoidance. They say, my relationships are out of control, but the real issue is fear, pride, or unresolved pain. The visible thing is not always the root thing. Sometimes the visible thing is only the fruit. You must have the courage to ask, what is this disorder revealing about me? Not about your enemies, not about your childhood only, not about the pressure only, about you. Where have you refused discipline? Where have you excused laziness? Where have you delayed obedience because you were afraid to fail? Where have you hidden behind busyness because you did not want to face the one thing God told you to do? Fear is an enemy of order. It keeps you from starting because you are afraid you will not finish. Avoidance is an enemy of order. It lets small problems grow into large burdens. Laziness is an enemy of order. It wants harvest without cultivation. Unresolved pain is an enemy of order. It makes you protect dysfunction because dysfunction feels familiar. People pleasing is an enemy of order. It gives everyone else authority over your time. Pride is an enemy of order. It refuses correction and calls rebellion independence. Distraction is an enemy of order. It keeps your mind entertained while your assignment remains unattended. And this is serious because dominion begins inside. God created man in his image and gave him dominion. But you cannot govern assignments, resources, opportunities, and influence if you cannot govern your impulses, excuses, and emotions. You cannot rule a garden while your appetite rules you. You cannot steward increase while your feelings make every decision. You cannot lead others into order while your private life is surrendered to disorder. Self-government is the beginning of dominion. Before you manage more money, manage desire. Before you lead more people, manage your attitude. Before you ask for a larger platform, manage your private habits. Before you pray for open doors, manage the rooms in your own heart that you keep close to God. You are not a victim of chaos. You may have been wounded. You may have been neglected. You may have learned disorder from environments you did not choose. But you are not condemned to reproduce what you came from. You are made in the image of God, and God brings order, God cultivates, God separates, God names, God governs, God produces. So when His Spirit lives in you, disorder is not your identity, confusion is not your inheritance, chaos is not your master. This is where repentance must become real. Repentance is not just crying because your life is messy. Repentance is changing direction. It is returning to divine order. It is saying, God, govern my thoughts, govern my desires, govern my appetite, govern my motives, govern my anger, govern my fear, govern my hidden rooms. Not just the room people see, not just the schedule people admire, not just the public gift, the secret place. Because if God does not govern the hidden place, the public place will eventually break. If He does not govern your motives, success will corrupt you. If He does not govern your appetites, increase will expose you. If He does not govern your emotions, pressure will rule you. Outer order without inner surrender becomes performance, but inner order produces peace that can survive pressure. So do not just organize your desk, organize your spirit. Do not just clean your room, clean your motives. Do not just fix your calendar, fix your obedience. Do not just create systems around your life while your soul remains rebellious. Let God bring order to the inside first, because the first territory of kingdom order is the inner life. Now you have revelation. You can see it. You know disorder is not just something to complain about. It is something to confront. But revelation alone will not change your life. Revelation must become decision. Decision must become discipline. Discipline must become a plan. So now the question becomes very practical. Where will you start? Where will you start? Start with what is in front of you. Not the whole house, not the whole year, not every broken pattern from the last 10 years. Start with one space, one schedule, one decision. Because transformation begins when revelation becomes one disciplined act of obedience. Do not make order so large in your mind that you never begin. That is another form of deception. Some people say, I need to change my whole life, and because the whole life feels too heavy, they change nothing. No, clean one drawer, clear one desk, write one list, make one phone call, cancel one distraction, obey one instruction. Small obedience breaks the power of long disorder. I want you to hear me clearly. Stop admiring the idea of order and begin practicing it. Stop saying, one day I will get serious. One day is not a day on the calendar. Today is a day. Tomorrow is a day. This week is a place where obedience can happen. Perfect conditions are not coming. You do not need perfect conditions. You need a disciplined decision. So I want to give you a 7-day reset. Simple, practical, serious. On the first day, clear. One physical area. Not everything, one area. Your desk, your closet, your kitchen counter, your car, your bedroom floor. Remove what does not belong. Put things where they should go. Throw away what has been sitting there long enough to prove it has no purpose. Let your environment receive the first evidence that you are no longer negotiating with chaos. On the second day, write your current responsibilities. Write them down. Family, work, bills, health, ministry, study, commitments, projects, people depending on you, things you have ignored, things you promised, things you keep carrying in your head. Your mind was not designed to be a storage room for unmanaged obligations. When you write them down, you bring them into the light. And what comes into the light can be governed. On the third day, identify your top priorities. Not what is loud, what is important. Not what makes you look busy, what builds your assignment. Choose the 3 things that must receive disciplined attention in this season. If everything is equal, nothing is governed. If everything is urgent, nothing is sacred. Priorities are the proof that vision has authority over your emotions. On the 4th day, create a weekly calendar. Put your priorities into time. Prayer has a place, work has a place, family has a place, rest has a place, preparation has a place, exercise has a place. Bills have a place. Do not leave important things floating in your imagination. Assign them, schedule them, protect them, because what has no time will usually have no fruit. On the 5th day, remove one distraction. One, do not try to impress anybody with intensity you cannot sustain. Remove one thing that keeps stealing your focus. Delete the app for 7 days. Turn off the notification. Stop the unnecessary conversation. Decline the invitation that does not serve your assignment. Put the phone in another room during focus work. The enemy does not always need to destroy you. Sometimes he only needs to keep you distracted long enough for purpose to remain untouched. On the 6th day, settle one neglected obligation. Pay what you can pay. Answer the email. Return the call. Apologize. Complete the form. Clean up the unfinished thing that keeps speaking to your conscience. Neglect has a voice. It whispers when you are trying to rest. It follows you into prayer. It makes simple days feel heavy. When you settle neglected obligations, you recover strength that disorder has been draining. On the 7th day, review what changed in your peace. Sit down and ask, what feels clearer? What feels lighter? What still needs order? Where did I obey? Where did I resist? What must continue next week? Review is how discipline becomes wisdom. You are not just cleaning. You are learning how your life responds to order. You are watching peace return. You are watching capacity grow. And remember this, consistency is more powerful than intensity. Many people attack disorder for one day and then return to old habits for 6 months. That is not transformation, that is emotion. Small acts of order repeated daily become a lifestyle of discipline. 10 minutes every day can do what 5 emotional hours once a month will never do. Discipline is not proven by what you do when you are inspired. Discipline is proven by what you repeat when inspiration is gone. As order returns, capacity grows. As capacity grows, peace expands. As peace expands, progress becomes visible. You begin to think clearer. You begin to move faster. You begin to hear God more distinctly because your life is no longer screaming over His instruction. You stop reacting to everything and start directing what has been placed in your hands. So make a declaration, not just with your mouth, but with your behavior. And if you are listening, write it in the comments as a witness over your own life. I choose divine order so I can steward kingdom increase. Say it, but then live it. Write it, but then obey it. Because heaven does not respond to words you refuse to become. Now the issue has moved. It has moved from chaos to clarity. It has moved from pressure to responsibility. It has moved from disorganization to readiness. You are no longer waiting for life to fix itself. You are taking what God placed in your hands and bringing it under divine order. And when your present life becomes organized enough to steward your next assignment, you are telling heaven something very powerful. You are saying, I am ready for more. And that declaration is not a slogan, it is a responsibility. When you say, I am ready for more, heaven does not only listen to your words, heaven looks at your management. Heaven looks at your stewardship. Heaven looks at your order. Because kingdom increase begins when your present life becomes organized enough to steward your next assignment. Now look at the whole journey. Confusion revealed misalignment. Order revealed the nature of God. Discipline became the bridge between promise and capacity. Decluttering made room for what God wanted to release. Vision gave direction. Time revealed priority. System sustained what motivation started. And inner order became the government over outer order. This is not just about a clean room, a better calendar, or a more productive week. This is about becoming a person God can trust with purpose. The scripture still stands. For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. That means confusion is not your inheritance. Disorder is not your identity. Panic is not your portion. Where God rules, peace rules. And where peace rules, progress can begin. Peace is not passive. Peace is organized strength. Peace is the atmosphere where purpose can grow without being strangled by chaos. So I challenge you today. Choose one area where you will stop tolerating disorder. One area. Your finances, your schedule, your home, your health, your mind, your relationships, your prayer life. Stop excusing it. Stop explaining it. Stop calling it normal. Bring it under stewardship. Put it in order. Give it structure. Give it discipline. Give it obedience. This is not perfection. Do not misunderstand me. God is not asking you to perform for people. He is not asking you to appear organized while your soul remains scattered. This is not appearance. This is maturity. Maturity says, I will manage what God placed in my hands because it belongs to Him before it belongs to me. Maturity says, I will not waste what I prayed for. Maturity says, I will prepare before the opportunity arrives. And when you feel weak, remember Philippians says, I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. That includes the disciplined work. That includes the hard conversation. That includes the budget. That includes the schedule. That includes the habit. That includes the decision to get up, clean up, plan, focus, forgive, release, and move forward. Through Christ, you can become orderly. Through Christ, you can become focused. Through Christ, you can become faithful. Through Christ, you can become fruitful. So do not wait for another emotional moment. Do not wait until life collapses before you respect order. Do not wait until opportunity knocks and finds no room. Start now. Manage what you have. Steward the little. Govern the present. Organize the space. Write the plan. Protect the time. Build the system. Surrender the inner life because your next level is not only waiting on God, some of it is waiting on your capacity. If this teaching is helping you align your identity, your purpose, your discipline, and your kingdom responsibility, subscribe and keep growing in truth that moves you into maturity. And share this message with someone who is ready to move from chaos into stewardship, from pressure into peace, from confusion into clarity, from scattered living into disciplined purpose. Hear me as we close. Increase cannot live in disorder. But when you organize what God has already placed in your hands, you create capacity for what He has prepared next.